What's going on, everybody? How you doing today? Here I am in Cypress, California, city south of Los Angeles, and just above Long Beach. And I've been here before. Glenn Quinn from Roseanne, he's buried here, and I did a video about him 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm out here for the grave of somebody I don't know, and I didn't know anything about this lady until my friend Steve, who is also known as Midwest Flesh. He has a channel right here on YouTube, and he's a dear close friend of mine, and he was telling me the story of Christene Skubish. And Steve actually knew her and grew up with her in Indiana. But what makes her story so interesting, I should preface that by saying everybody's story is interesting. Everybody around me, everybody resting here, everybody's story is interesting. I always want to make that clear. So I want to make that clear. Christene, though, had a very interesting story that was on Unsolved Mysteries, and her and her son Nick, who's still alive, thankfully. But Christene's story was featured on Unsolved Mysteries, and it is a crazy story of how she passed away and what happened after she passed away. So in this video, we're going to be going, well, this is Forest Lawn Cypress, by the way, it's called. And we're going to, if I didn't say that, I'm going to be flipping over to Indiana, where Steve is going to fill us in on parts of the story and show parts of Christene's life, because he knew her father. And I've got my work cut out for me, because I've pretty much only got this section to look through. There's no pin right to her grave. They've told me at the office where to find Christene, and I'm going to look, and I'm going to tell you basically what happened, but then we'll flip over to Steve, and he's going to show you some stuff in Indiana that's really cool. And yeah, let's start now. So it was June 6, 1994. Christene was 23 years old. Her son was 3, Nick. They were driving along Highway 50, which is far north of here. It connects like Sacramento to Nevada, and it's high up in the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Christene was a single mom. She had just earned her paralegal certification, and she was hoping to marry Nick's father. I keep looking around while I'm talking. She was reported missing on June 8th by her stepfather, who called the police to make a missing persons report. An investigation began into the case, but no leads turned up. Here's where the story takes a very strange turn. 5 days after Christene and Nick disappeared, there's a woman named Deborah Hoyt. Her and her husband were driving along Highway 50 late at night, and it's dark. I've driven up around that area before, and it is dark at night, and those roads can be tough to navigate, and you got to be wide awake and alert. Like, no, you have to. They were singing to themselves, to each other, to keep themselves awake. If you doze off, or if you take your eyes off the road, it's treacherous territory up there. It's not fun. Deborah, the woman in the car, saw a naked woman lying on the side of the road. Her face was toward the road. She was laying on her side, her knees slightly bent. She had one arm underneath her head, and the other arm was on her head. So Deborah obviously kind of freaked out, but they thought it was maybe like a weird practical joke, or someone trying to hijack the car like a trap. They stopped at the nearest phone booth to call police, and within minutes, 2 cruisers were at the site. And that's pretty crazy. When I was reading that earlier, I was like, how could they get there that fast up there? But they must have been in the area. There was no landmark to pinpoint the exact location, so they didn't find anything. They didn't know exactly where the woman, because Deborah Hoyt could only say like it was just down the road that way, and it was dark and late at night. But the next morning, some of the police officers that were there, they began to suspect that there was something, maybe had to do with the disappearance of Christene and Nick. So they went back. So Deborah had been able to pinpoint a particularly dangerous stretch of Highway 50 known as Bullion Bend. He's one of the police officers. And this, yes, is a funeral set up later today. You can see it's a military funeral of some sort. There's a bagpiper over there. Well, the police officer noticed a child's shoe. He decided to pull over and search further. He noticed a steep embankment going down. I'm still looking for Christine and I can't find her. It's going to be difficult. At the bottom of the ravine, he found the car. Inside was Christine. She was dead. Apparently, she had been killed instantly. But there was little Nick, 3 years old, curled up in the fetal position on the passenger side. The police officer assumed that little Nick was dead as well. But when he touched his neck to find a pulse, Nick let out a little tiny breath. He immediately called for an ambulance. Nick had been alone in the car for 5 days. 5 days beside his mom, who had passed away. Now, we're talking extreme heat during the day, extreme cold during the night. This poor little boy. Police believe that sometime after 2 a.m. on June 6th, Christine had fell asleep at the wheel. She drove off the road, crashed in the bottom of the ravine. But it was so steep, passing motorists wouldn't have seen it. They wouldn't have been aware of it. They wouldn't have even known. So Christine's mother believes that Nick spent the whole time probably talking to his mother, not knowing that she was dead. He was only 3. He wouldn't have understood what was going on. Doctor said he probably only had an hour or 2 left had he not been rescued. So it's very, very bizarre. Well, let's flip to, actually let's go over to Steve. And he'll fill you in a little bit more on the case and talk about Christine, the person, more. Because, like I said, it was featured on Unsolved Mysteries, but this is a little more in-depth about Christine herself. And Steve Neuer. Take it away, Steve, my man.
What's up, everybody? Today I'm at this house that I have a lot of memories of. I grew up hanging out here. Childhood friend of mine. There's a really crazy story behind this one. A big shout out to all you guys on Scott's channel. Hopefully you guys please go over and subscribe to my channel. And this is a story that we're gonna put together about a childhood friend of mine. It's a really bizarre story. So yeah, my friend Christene Skubish lives here, and back in the day, we would all hang out here, like I said. There's a story on Unsolved Mysteries about the girl, the ghost on Highway, what was it, Highway 50, back in the day, and she was on her way to Nevada or something and went off a mountain road. I'm gonna let Scott tell you guys the rest of the story when he gets to her grave. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. This is a long time coming. I've been wanting to do this one for a while because she was a really, really good friend of mine. And her brother Marky, big shout out to you, Marky. I know you're still around. And your son Nick, he survived the crash. Crazy story, guys. Like I said, I'm gonna let Scott tell you the story, the rest of it, all the details and everything. I just want to give you the lowdown on where we're at now. We all hang out here, and her dad, Larry, was really, really, really super nice guy. He would take us to the roller rinks, and I remember one time he had like 13 kids in the car coming picking us up from skating rink, and we got pulled over by the police. And he was like, "Why you got so many kids in this car?" You know, but he was giving all the kids a ride home. It was raining that night, from what I remember. Yeah, we used to hang out here. He would let us party and stuff a little bit. As long as we weren't going anywhere, we had to stay here, you know what I mean? Really nice guy. We're going to go pay our respects to him, too. He was also a teacher, Vietnam vet. So we're going to stop over and pay our respects to him. And then Scott's going to take over the story all the way in California. So actually, yeah, Larry he passed away in the house, and if you look down this road at the end, right down there, he's buried right there. And around that curve, actually, is where I work. My tattoo shop's right there too. So, you know, this is local stuff. Portage, Indiana, Willowdale, Independence. Yeah, like I said, Larry passed away in the house, and his daughter passed in California. So, thanks again, Scott, for doing this video for me. Really appreciate you. There he is, guys. His mother was buried here too. Just trying to see if I see her, Teresa. She should be right around here. But there's Lawrence. Rest in peace, Larry. Yep, good guy right there, man. Good guy. But yeah, this is a beautiful cemetery. I have a lot of friends buried in here. My buddy Spanky's right over here. His dad's right over there. His sister's right over there. Lots of people. There's a few people in here that were killed by Dillinger and those guys. My tattoo shop's right there behind those woods over there on the other side, down that road. Rest in peace, Larry. You were a good man. We're gonna go visit Christine and pay our respects to her. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all the good times. Thank you for looking out for us when we were kids. Thank you for just being you, man. Let's just visit your house, and we're gonna go pay our respects to Christine now. Thanks to my buddy Scott. Rest in peace.
All right, thanks, Steve. So if Deborah, the lady, had not seen the naked woman, Nick wouldn't have survived. Now, Christine was found fully clothed in the car and wearing her seatbelt, so it couldn't have been her. That doesn't make any sense. She crawled up to the side of the road naked, injured, put her clothes back on, and sat in the same position in the car. Like, this just doesn't make any sense. And the police officer said that, you know, believes she was killed on impact. Deborah, the lady, was certain that she saw a naked woman on the side of the road. So she and Christine's family believe it was Christine, her spirit, who saved Nick. They talked to Nick as an adult, and he said, and I quote, "I don't remember the days too much, but I remember the night that we wrecked. I remember the car flipping. I remember hitting tree after tree after tree. And I remember when the roof of the car got ripped off. I remember seeing my mom. I remember getting out of the car. I remember climbing up that 40-foot embankment and sliding down on pine needles. I remember seeing the lights. I remember every night pretty much. I just don't remember the days at all. If anything, I feel like I was sleeping, but I don't remember the days at all." He described a bright light surrounding their car following the accident. He also recalled the figure of a woman standing near the road. He himself believes that Christine was watching over him following the accident. He's also mentioned that Christine's aunt had several dreams about the accident before she and Nick were ever reported missing. She saw them laying in the car in the ditch. Now, one thing I thought possible, Nick, the woman thought maybe Nick himself, the little boy, I mean, he's tiny, but climbed up the side of the road, laid there, and then climbed back to be with his mom. So maybe the woman mistook the little boy, because I think he believed he had his shirt off, maybe underwear. I'm not sure. That's one explanation, but it seems to defy explanation what happened. And I still have not found Christine's grave, but I'm going to. Thankfully, one of the ladies that's helping with the funeral that's going on behind me told me I was completely in the wrong area, but I was close. And that Christine is probably, well, not probably, is closer to over here. So I'm going to take a look. It's difficult sometimes. You try to walk to the bottom of the graves, but you're trying to look ahead. Somewhere up here, near the bushes and the concrete wall. So I'm going to keep looking, and I will find Christene. No word of a lie, as soon as those bagpipes started playing, I walked towards these flowers just to take a look, and I saw those flowers. As I was walking by, I found Christene's grave. As soon as those bagpipes started, I walked. Wow. I hear them in the distance. I'm not sure how much the mic is picking up. Here's Christene. Christene D., which is Dawn, Skubish, October 24th, 1970 to June 11th, 1994. Beloved mother, daughter, sister, niece, and granddaughter. And James H. Nichols, I'm not sure who that is. Lo, I am with you always, 1929 to 1982. This is from your old friend Steve that I brought for you. That's from Steve. That's the story of Steve's friend Christene Skubish. We're here at Forest Lawn, Cypress. And from what I know from Steve telling me, our son Nick is thriving and leading a good life. And Christene far too young and whole life ahead of her. Just completed her paralegal diploma, or whatever it is you get to become a paralegal, starting her life, 3-year-old son. Stay awake when you drive. If you're sleepy, pull over. And I do a lot of driving for my channel, I know that. The minute I start feeling like I'm too tired, I pull over. Rest in peace, Christene. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks, Steve. Big ups. I'll see you soon in Indiana. Alright, peace out.